This is Michelle Sisler, owner of Keys to Imagination, and today I would like to welcome Sally Ritchie. Sally is a private music instructor and expert in creating games to teach music concepts. She holds a patent on an entire line of games, and today will show us some effective ways to teach and drill scales and chords with some wonderful teaching tools, including Harmonic Hike.
Thank you, Michelle. When I was young, I remember hearing my parents and my grandparents talk about how things are so much different these days. They had to walk 3 miles to school in deep snow, uphill both ways. The fact is, things really have changed, and they have changed a lot in the music education world due to the advent of jazz, improvisation, and playing lead sheets, and even the new instruments we have available to us now. Students have to know much more about theory and harmonic structure, and that has put a lot of extra stress on some of the teachers these days. Those of us that learned a long time ago weren't taught jazz. That wasn't anything that was part of my music education. And as far as chords go, I believe I stayed in the key of C for like 10 years. It's a whole lot different. And my studio, and I've been teaching for almost 50 years. It'll be 50 years this year. My studio is in a school. I'm in a band room area. And so I can compare the way they teach now to how they taught 20 and 30 years ago. There was no theory in school in those days. Now they have to do that. They have a lot more that they have to present to our students. It means that we have to teach more about scales and chords and harmonic structure and improvising, that kind of thing. I would like to give you a few tips of things that really worked in my studio quite well, and get you kind of started along that line, and then give you some suggestions for ways of drilling that. The first thing I generally do, well, I always do, is to start students out on a keyboard, most of the time away from the piano. I had gotten this cloth keyboard from Joe's Publishing. It's one of the TCW resources. I have a laminated plastic keyboard on my desk that I use all the time as well. It's mounted on my desk, and whether you have something like that or you just use the piano, this method will work easily for you. I start out with the kids learning pentascales, major pentascales, and of course, what's the easiest one to start out with? C major. So I have them place markers on the keys for a C major pentascale, and then we talk about half and whole steps and how in a major pentascale there is a half step from the third to the fourth note. However you teach this, some do it by tetrachord, some do it by whole, half whole. However you teach this is just important that they understand pentascales. And then I move on to different ones, and we just work on how to find which black and white key combinations we have. And by doing it this way, they have something to touch. It's very tactile. Then I take them over to the piano and have them play it. I also have them identify the tonic note, the dominant note, and then play the triad on that tonic note. And this way it just gives them a little bit of a head step into that chord construction. I then, after they are making pentascales easily, then I will give them 3 more markers of a different color, and I ask them to put 2 whole steps above each pentascale, and whatever you start on, you end on. So we started on a C here, and we end on a C. Rather than teaching them that there's a half step from 3 to 4 and 7 to 8, sometimes this just works easier, especially for the younger students. they will eventually know where all the half steps are in the major and minor scales. But this is just a really good start. And then have them identify tonic, dominant, and subdominant to prepare for your chord construction. I also have them write or place the notes of the scale on a wipe-off keyboard. This one happens to be Easy Notes by Lucy Chu. I have one of the very large ones in my room at school, and we use that daily. They're used to doing their scales and their chords on there. I'm not going to go into scale construction more than this right now, but if you would like to see the method in more detail, you can go to our video on tips for teaching key signatures, and then you can watch it a little more depth. When I have them working on this, I have them start playing the scales, and then we actually play the 1, the 4, and the 5 chords, and then eventually add 5, 7. Now to drill this so that they can use it well enough in their music, and frankly, if they're doing lead sheets or if they're playing jazz and doing improv, they don't have a lot of time to figure out how to play them. The very beginning is they have to learn the chords in their root position, and they have to understand intervals and scales. One of the things that I do to get them more fluent in scale construction and identification and chords is to play our new game, which is Harmonic Hike. We have joined forces, Michelle and I have joined forces with Linda Romand to create this Harmonic Hike game, and it has ended up being very, very versatile. Students are going to be using enharmonic spellings of letters to create scales and chords and intervals and so forth. The unique thing about this is, well, first of all, you can use the game to do pentascales, major, minor scales, dominant 7 chords, or any kind of chord that you want. But the unique thing is that you can play different levels together. A beginner can play the level 1 game using just the C major pentascale, D major, E major, and so forth, while you could be having a level 3 student doing an F sharp major pentascale or C sharp major pentascale. So it's very versatile. But one thing that I really like about it is our level 4 has got modes, different kinds of triads. 7th summit could be minor 7ths, or it could be a major 7 chord, anything like that. Whole tone scales and interval incline. I find it really, really nice to use this game to do blues scales. If you're teaching jazz, those students have to, and even like jazz, piano, or guitar, those students have to understand blues scales.
Actually, I had 2 of those.
She was, now you know. Keep that in mind.
I was just ready for that, but okay.
She just saw one she needed and
Yeah.
she jumped on it.
I had to. No,
Oh!
you don't. I didn't even think about it.
Wait a second, hang on.
No.
My tip for the day then. Wait. Oh, look at him. Lay it down first.
I'm done. This is no.
G, A, B, C, D. Well, yes, you are, because he just won. Would you like to congratulate
No.
him? Oh, come on. Be a good sport.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I trained very hard for this.
He stayed up nights trying
Yeah.
to beat you.
Yeah.
They like doing something a little more fun with it. You get a lot of bang for your buck that way, in other words, for your time, and everybody gets better.
Thanks, Sally, for sharing these ideas to help students learn and practice scales and chords. Order these products and subscribe to our newsletter for exclusive content, specials, and webinars at keystoimagination.com.